As an expert golfer, you're in the sport's top echelon, consistently shooting in the 70s. You hit 8 to 11 greens in regulation, and you focus on details of the sport. From equipment to preparation, to strategy, to pre-shot routine, to shot execution, to analysis of statistics. You've learned how to adjust on the fly so you get the most out of your round. There are areas that will likely help you improve your performance. First, understanding your on-course reactions by delving into recent neuroscience discoveries. Neuroscience is the new frontier for golf and really overall human performance. There have been many helpful neuroscience discoveries over the past 10 years. And each month, there are more of them. Many impact golf performance directly, and they're almost totally overlooked by other coaches. Understanding application of neuroscience in golf can be your competitive edge, but it needs to be balanced with traditional golf psychology. There's some overlap and a good bit to learn, but it's time well spent. It is enormously helpful. We have outstanding videos on neuroscience, golf psychology, and reconciliation of the two. Second, in terms of improvement, you should focus on your physical fitness. It's key to becoming more flexible and gaining golf strength for shot execution and injury prevention. Also, specific swing dynamics that need attention can be isolated and addressed with specific exercises to improve mobility. We have several helpful videos on both warm-up and fitness routines. Third, play in tournaments. It's a great way for advanced golfers to test their skills and gain experience in high-pressure situations. Bobby Jones said, "There's golf and there's tournament golf, and they're not at all alike," which is so true. You'll learn much more about yourself and your golf game under tournament conditions. The crucible of competition sharpens your decision-making and makes you a better player. Neuroscience is just 15 years old, and it deals with what can be anticipated by the unseen biological and chemical processes in the brain. It's what drives human behavior, and while very few people talk about it in the realm of golf, it's probably the most important aspect of performance. We're breaking the paradigm and delving into it. The brain is about 3 pounds, and it's always on. It's extremely powerful, capable of generating 23 watts of electricity that can power a light bulb. It uses chemical and electrical messages to regulate organs and body movement, and it controls how you react to stress, happiness, and every other emotion. In golf, the brain commands muscle sequencing, eye-hand coordination, ability to hold vision of target, swing execution, force imparted on golf ball, and all decision-making. It's really the driver of everything. I've heard dozens of golfers talk about building muscle memory, but contrary to what you may think, repetitive motion in golf enhances multiple areas of the brain. Muscles have no memory. We have a slide deck on neuroscience, plus videos by our MD PhD, who is a board-certified radiologist, neuroscientist, professor at top medical school, author, and former collegiate golfer. She's at the top of her field, and we're fortunate to have her assistance. She simplifies neuroscience and explains it in easy to understand ways. Please be certain to watch her videos and apply her instruction. All of it is easy to understand, practical, and cutting edge. But of course, you should consult with your medical provider about any changes. I don't have a degree in neuroscience, but I do have one in psychology and a master's in business. I've learned a good bit from experts, and from a practical standpoint, I've experimented with application of neuroscience in competition, so I wanted to pass along my thoughts. Because golf is an individual sport where you're fully exposed without teammates, the brain is vulnerable and often uncomfortable. You need to anticipate it doing not so helpful things to generate security. For instance, during a round, you may start to feel anxious, and as a result, your judgment may become clouded by limited attention span, on-course stressors, and unconscious behavior. Limited attention span generates poor judgment as it causes the mind to wander and then lose focus. 20 years ago, the average attention span was 12 seconds, and in recent years, it has dropped 33% to just 8 seconds, and it continues to fall. I won't go into all the reasons for that decrease, but I will point out a recent study from Harvard showing that at any given time, 47% of adults aren't concentrating on the task at hand. So half of the players you see on the golf course are beyond their level of attention. In some ways, I guess that's good and bad. It's good because the ones that aren't focused are easier to beat. And on-course stressors also contribute to poor decision-making. The more significant the stressor, the greater the debilitation. We've identified the most impactful stressors, such as a missed short putt, a flub pitch shot, an out-of-bounds shot, and before you even hit, big, menacing penalty areas. Big anxiety comes from unexpected events and embarrassing shots. And the bigger the shock, the more difficult it is to recover. And third, unconscious thought can cause fear to creep in without full awareness. It generates largely in the amygdala, or the animal part of the brain, which processes fear and other emotions. Unconscious behavior can be spiked by emotional aspects of daily living or pressure from playing circumstances. Brainwaves increase, which in turn cause you to walk and move faster, increase anxiety with feelings of stress, develop shallow, quick, and labored breathing, cloud judgment, and develop fearful or racing thoughts. It all signals to your sympathetic nervous system to send your body into a fight or flight state, where good decision-making becomes difficult and muscle tension inhibits swing execution. So in summary, half of all golfers suffer from mind wander. Many others are traumatized by results of shots they don't expect or fear large penalty areas. And even more are influenced negatively by fear created in the unconscious mind. Unfortunately, these three circumstances can occur individually or together, and when their lower levels of performance and higher scores are generated. There's a difference between neuroscience and golf psychology. Neuroscience delves deeply into the human brain, identifying biological and chemical processes that translate into behavior. On the other hand, psychology is the study of personality and mental processes that lead to behavior, such as impact of feelings and desires. There is overlap, however. We've all seen different personalities on the golf course. The excuse player has a reason for every poor shot and round. The extrovert talks constantly. The data collector gathers a lot of information before hitting a shot. The field player just looks in the general direction and hits. The judging golfer comments on everything done by everybody. From my standpoint, optimal personality characteristics for golfers include abstract thinking, generating options between shots that positively influence decision-making when arriving at the ball. Emotional stability, dealing with ups and downs and not allowing either one of them to influence too much. Feel, playing with finesse, but when necessary, also using force for shots like hitting a ball out of deep rough. Confidence, believing in yourself and in your game. Self-sufficiency, relying upon yourself for good decision-making. Optimal attention, reaching a balance between overamped and underamped. Tough-mindedness, using determination to make performance your single purpose. While we could talk about personalities for a long time, I found that from a golf perspective, the two personality characteristics most misunderstood are optimal attention and mental toughness. Optimal attention is really about control. Golf is unique as it combines explosive activities like driving with refined ones like putting. So attention has a range from low to high. It's not one or the other like football, where a player must constantly be jacked up to block and tackle. In golf, too much attention can generate a high heart rate and high blood pressure. An amped up mind and body can cause you to swing too fast, lose feel in putting, make poor decisions, and generate displays of emotion. It's something that should be avoided. On the opposite or low end of the attention scale, you may do things without thought and become sloppy. So a constant balance in the middle of the attention spectrum is needed. To stay centered, I always tell my students to monitor their behavior, and if they're getting too out of equilibrium, do the opposite. If you're walking or talking fast, make a conscious effort to slow down. Likewise, if you're making poor decisions, reset by closing your eyes, breathing deeply, and after you open your eyes, briefly move them horizontally. Mental toughness is a big part of golf psychology, and it's critical for success. You must develop a strong mental game to perform at your best. It involves visualization techniques, self-talk, and focusing on the issue at hand. Game-faced is a focused, determined expression that helps you concentrate. You need to know when to turn it on and turn it off. Shooter's mentality is knowing that if you hit a few poor shots, the law of averages will bring around good ones. And it involves having confidence to be the one who wants to take control and make a difference by playing well. We have some of the best videos anywhere on mental toughness and mastery from the mental coach Chris Doris and others. Please be certain to watch them. Remember, golf is about a 2-second swing followed by minutes of patience and waiting. I see too many players become impatient, and as a result, they think too much and make mistakes. Studies show that waiting too long can cause grip pressure and swing tempo to increase and focus to wander. Many times, waiting generates mental interference, so be mindful of it if play slows or a weather delay occurs. Always reset by closing your eyes and breathing deeply. After you open your eyes, move them back and forth horizontally. You'll be surprised at how rejuvenated you feel. Perfection isn't necessary. In life, perfect behavior can be both good and bad, but the compulsion to be perfect is almost always a negative. It causes anxiety and low self-esteem. Too often golfers try to be perfect because they believe their self-worth is tied to golf achievement. I've seen it happen way too many times in the professional ranks and experienced it myself. Please don't put too much pressure on goal attainment. This sport doesn't define you. Enjoy it because it's absolutely wonderful. But remember that mistakes are going to happen and not so good results will occur. Be thankful that you will learn from them and grow. If you get into trouble on the golf course, think outside the box. If you're stymied, think about both traditional and non-traditional routes to extricate yourself. Going outside the box will foster creativity and innovation, stretch your imagination, and better solve the problem at hand. Overcoming embarrassment relates to mental toughness and is vital to reaching peak performance. Remember to internalize the notion that the opinion of others doesn't matter. It also helps to develop resilience at a young age, as those who do are usually more willing to seek out the spotlight. Stay out of your own way. Certain behavior causes more problems than it solves, such as too much discussion about swing technique, trying out too many drivers, putters, and other equipment, not moving on from a poor shot or poor decision, negative internal dialogue, and becoming distracted and consequently making poor decisions. In the final analysis, success in golf lives in the land of failure. Because you compete against groups of players, you're going to lose more often than you win. And you're going to become frustrated. But you need to overcome it all by facing difficulty, developing confidence, and being mentally tough. Always strive to be more than you feel. The golf course is no place for swing experimentation. A survey of tour pros shows that 75% of them play competitively with no swing thought. And they do so to avoid clutter in their minds so they can focus on performance. When you become overly involved with technique on the golf course, your mind becomes confused and it's difficult to score. While executing a swing, limit yourself to 1 or at most 2 swing keys, usually 1 for the backswing and 1 for the follow-through. Focus on pre-shot routine and the performance aspects of golf. Replace cliches with what works for you. Stay in the moment may not work for you if you're 2 down with 3 holes to play, and you need to develop a 3-hole strategy for when and where to attack. 1 shot at a time may not work for you if you're like me and you need to look at the bigger picture. If so, break the course down into 3-hole segments, which is what I do. Give yourself a goal of a score for each of those 3-hole segments. Block things out may not resonate with you, while catch good thoughts and replace bad ones may be better. Remember, routines build familiarity and comfort. Taking your driving range swing to the golf course. Swing mechanics don't change from the range to the course, but body tension and resulting tempo does, because you move from hitting in a big field to a small target. Too many players confuse a tempo problem with swing mechanics, and they start experimenting with their swing. Acknowledge that tempo is a big factor in scoring and work to find it. Humming, counting, or finding a song that fits your tempo may also work. Don't get too technical on the course. Remember, problems are usually performance and tempo related. Practice specialty shots. Advanced golfers should work on developing a variety of specialty shots, such as fades and draws, as well as high and low shots to be prepared for different situations on the course. Analyze your swing frequently with technology, such as video or swing sensors. Given your high level of play, the refinements you need to make may not be readily apparent, so use science to ferret them out.